this corner, weighing 142 pounds, the undefeated champion of the world, Mr. 217 MMA.
Hey, MMA. Hey, MMA. We gon' punch you in the face. Hey, MMA. Hey, MMA. Hey, Mayhem Radio. We turned up in this place. Hey, off the ropes. With a chair. Fight dirty. Pull hell. MMA. Hey, MMA. Hey, Mayhem Radio. We turned up in this place.
He hits him with the right, he hits him with the left, he ducks, uppercut, another uppercut, a punch to the right, he's out, KO, and Mr. 217 is still the undefeated champion of the world.
MMA MayhemRadio.com.
On this episode of Sitting Down with Storm, I'm feeling a little bit lightheaded. Am I having an outer body experience? Whoa, is that Freddy Krueger? No, wait, I see a glimmer of light. Is this a dream? I know it's definitely not a wet dream. Oh no, it couldn't be. This couldn't be a nightmare. Nothing's really scary at the moment, so I know it's not a nightmare. No, it can't be. Oh, no, that's American Dream, Stephen Eakin, and he'll be facing off against Tony Horn Saturday, April 12th in McDonough, Georgia for Top Alliance Combat. Stephen, welcome to the Stormfront, my friend, and how the hell are you doing?
Man, I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on.
I like to have a lot of fighters on that are trying to make their way up to the big leagues, paying their dues, and I like to hear all the stories that revolve around upcoming fighters. So why don't you tell the listeners a little bit about yourself and how you got involved in mixed martial arts?
Stephen Eakin, from a small town in Georgia, Bainbridge, Georgia. I come from a family of people that were, I guess, tough guys, known fighters, no real professional experience, I would say, but they were known fighters from the area, and so I just grew up in that same like legacy, and I always felt, I don't know, that I wanted to be a tough guy. You know, I wanted to be a boxer, or like most kids my age, I guess. We love wrestling, like professional wrestling, and that's what I wanted to be when I got older. Until I realized it was fake and it was scripted, and it broke my heart.
And then hey Steven, and then they changed the name from the World Wrestling Federation to World Wrestling Entertainment.
It killed me, man. When Hogan came out, man, and leg dropped on him, and went NWO.
Yeah,
that ruined my life.
I loved it. I always thought Hulk Hogan was larger than life. Probably because I was growing up during that time, like him, Randy Savage.
Oh yeah.
You got Ultimate Warrior. So you got guys that are larger than life, and then you got the guy that everybody loves and adores. He turns his back on everybody, drops the leg, and wrestling wouldn't be the same again.
I know. It really did. It was a big deal.
And pro wrestling, it was never the same again once Vince McMahon bought out World Championship Wrestling.
Yeah, they did away with certain people, and yeah, they had their own one-way agenda, I guess, and I don't know. It's not my business. I don't know how they do all of it, but
your business is beating people up, Mr. Eakin. And
yes, sir.
When you found out wrestling was fake, I don't know how old you are, and I don't know what time frame you grew up in, but I know it was probably MMA was just getting in front of the forefront when you were probably a child, and as you grew up, you watched it evolve, and did you start to feel that hunger, that desire in your mind saying, hey, I can do this?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like I always wanted to do the wrestling because I thought that's what they were doing. I thought they were fighting. And I thought that those were the real tough guys of the world. You know, in boxing, obviously, because my dad, we loved watching boxing together. And then the UFC was in '93, the first one. I was 10 then.
Yeah.
So I kind of knew what it was, I guess, and we had the VHS tapes. I don't remember when we first had gotten them. You know, we would go rent them from Movie Gallery or whatever, and we'd watch some of them together. And then I just, you know, time went by, got older, started seeing more of it on TV. And then with the boom from the first Ultimate Fighter, you know, it became really mainstreamish, and you know, more and more people were talking about it. And I just always you know, I could do that, you know, I could do that. I was working a desk job and just drinking and partying, and got up to like 375 pounds, just terrible shape, you know. And my dad passed from a heart attack, and it kind of opened my eyes a lot to life and to what was going on in the world. So I started trying to change my life and be healthier and be more positive in general. So I just decided, I found this place in California. Sold everything I couldn't fit into it. Sold and gave away what I couldn't fit into a couple bags, and jumped a plane to San Bernardino, California, and started training full time. Basically, living in the gym or next door in a little dorm like complex, and spent two and a half years out there, and from there I got a really solid MMA base, training with guys like Franklin Aguirre, Tom Rusing at Gracie Baja, Corona, BJJ, and just like a lot of guys out there in the Southern California game. I'm not going to name drop a bunch of people, but because you know, I spent time on the mat with guys, but I didn't really train with guys, so I'm not going to, you know, name drop a bunch of people. But living out there, it was fun to be able to drive an hour or two and be on the mat with guys that I really looked up to, you know, who were stars. And I just kept working and kept growing and kept working and kept growing. But the money ran out in California. I couldn't keep surviving, you know, couch surfing with my best friends and training partners, so I had to come back home. I hooked up with Richard Cox, who was in Valdosta, Georgia. Spent some great years there. He led me to some good fights. He got me most of my professional fights that were in Georgia and in the area since moving back. All in all, I guess I've been at it for a little bit over 6 years, man, and I've really worked my butt off and tried really hard to be, you know, a good fighter, but do it the right way, you know, and be a good example to the teammates around, you know, show up every day and work hard, you know, and stuff like that. And I always just tried to be the good guy, and I don't know, it's just been a long 6 years, and that's why I say thank you for having me on here, so I can tell people, you know, my name, and they're gonna know this year who I am.
Exactly. And Mr. Eakin, that's the whole purpose of this show. Like I said before, you know, I want to get the word out to as many people as possible to get your story, because I didn't know your father passed away. I didn't know you went to Southern California. My question is, with the passing of your father, did you feel like you need to get out of the state? Because I know there's probably some gyms in the area that you could have went to, but you said, hell no, I'm going to Southern California. I'm going where the best of the best is, and I'm going to learn from that. And I'm sure you took a lot from that experience, but what made you travel across country?
Well, you know, to be honest with you, I didn't really know anyone locally that was doing anything. I had never really even heard of it locally. I was on Sherdog and started talking to some people on there, and I found out there was some stuff in Atlanta or whatever, but the guys out there offered me a place to stay, you know, and kind of a job cleaning up or whatever, and, you know, like I said, I could couch surf and stay at the dorm next door or whatever. Right. So that's where I went. I thought it was a great opportunity. After whatever happened, you know, and I went through some things and, you know, tried to experience life. I was like, man, I don't want to be held down anymore, and I don't want to be closed-minded to anything. I want to open up my horizons, and, you know, I was like, what better way is that than to go and get dropped off somewhere where I was just me, and that's, you know, that's all I could do was just be me. So I made the best of it.
Yeah, you made the best of your situation, and you have changed your life around totally, and hats off to you for that. You know, it's a big accomplishment. First of all, get yourself back in shape, but then to step in a cage, hats off to you, my friend. And you stepped in the cage February 7th against a man I know all too well in beast mode, Marvin Skipper. Now, a lot of guys probably would have strayed away from that fight, but you took it heads on, man. When we interviewed you for the weigh-ins, you had so much confidence and you had such a swagger about yourself. That drew my attention. I mean, you're an entertaining guy, you're a good interview, and you don't back down from fights. But I want to know from you, what did you take from that fight, knowing that you had a tough opponent across the way from you in the cage?
Yeah, it was a weird deal because I fought tough guys before, you know, and I knew Marvin was a tough fighter. I said it the whole time, you know, that he had a great skill set for what, you know, for matching up with me, because a lot of times I like to fight in the clinch, and when he wanted to push to the clinch, I didn't really resist it. I just kind of let it happen. And that was the mistake in the fight. But training-wise and stuff, man, like I said, I've been doing this for a while. I've been around. I've had my butt kicked by guys that were great. I've had my butt kicked by some guys that weren't so great before in gyms. And then, you know, I've had some fights with guys with lots of experience. I mean, I fought guys with hundreds of fights already a couple times. Dan Severin was my third professional fight.
When was that?
Dan Severin?
Yeah.
I fought him in Elko, Nevada on an Indian reservation for Gladiator Challenge for my third. It's listed as my first professional fight, but I actually had 2 wins before that were also unsanctioned, that were on reservation land in California. And they offered me the fight, man, and I was just like, I mean, that's what I'm saying. The same thing with Marvin. They were like, hey, you want to take this fight? For me, I never really dreamed that I would be a professional fighter that was going to be getting paid to get travel and, you know, paid to get put up in a hotel somewhere to go and you know, to be in front of these thousands of people that are going to be cheering for me, you know. It's awesome. Hell yeah, I'll take that fight. I would love to fight that guy. It's
definitely that way at Warfare MMA. They put on a great show.
Dude, it was awesome. The crowd gave a great pop when he came out. You know, it sucked not being the home guy there, but they definitely brought it that night.
And now, Top Alliance Combat. And fans, you want to check out their website at tacmma.com and follow Mr. Eakin on Twitter at Stephen Eakin Jr. That's STEPHEN EAKIN JR. You're going to want to do that, because if you don't, I'm going to punch you in the face. But you know what? The American dream. You know, that brings some things to mind, but one thing in particular, and a man named the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, and good old Ruby, rest her soul. But is that where you got the name?
Oh yeah, that's where I took the idea from. Was definitely from Dusty Rhodes. Like I said, you know, like we spoke about earlier, I had a huge pro wrestling influence in my life when I was young. And I always liked Dusty. You know, he was always really charismatic. He always, like, you know, was really in a happy mood for the most part. You know, he was that kind of a character or whatever. And then I, you know, got into this thing where I was watching a lot of the promos recently, old promos, and I saw the Hard Times promo that Dusty did. And, you know, he talks about how he's a little chubbier than the average guy, you know, not the typical athlete that people would think. And, you know, and I was like, wow, I can kind of relate to that, you know. And I feel like I am that in a way, because I'm the everyman. You know, I have a job, I have a wife, I work hard. I've came from being nothing to maybe I'm nothing in some people's eyes, but I'm definitely way more of nothing than I ever was. I think people can relate to my story, and people can see that they can be whoever they want to be if they'll just believe in that and just strive to be something better. And I think that's what the American dream is just striving to be better for yourself every day.
To me, Mr. Eakin, I understand. I'm not fighting particularly, but we do run a media outlet, and it seems like, you know, every day you got to keep pushing. And we both got full-time jobs. You said you have a wife. You're probably gonna have kids down the road, so you got to keep that hustle.
Pregnant with my son, our first child, a son, August the 5th.
Oh, okay. Congratulations, man.
Thank you.
And let's talk about the fight you got coming up April 12th. Tony Horn. What do you know about him?
I know Tony is from Virginia. His record online doesn't look that great, but apparently he has a lot of fights that aren't on his record, and I can relate to that. You know, being fought in unsanctioned fights and stuff before everything was really streamlined and organized. I don't really know a lot about him. I've seen videos of him. He looks to be more of a brawler type guy. He's a little heavier than I am, I think, right now, but I'm not really worried about that either. I don't really know a lot about him, to be honest with you, other than he's going to be in for a world of hurt come April the 12th.
Now, some guys, they follow a game plan. I know that George Rush St. Pierre, he follows a game plan with TriStar Gym. A lot of guys use that game plan to wear their opponents down, to ground and pound. And then you got other guys, like the Diaz brothers, that come in there banging. They just take it as it comes. Now, you say you don't know much about the guy. Is that a disservice to fighters, though, not doing any research on your opponent and just taking the fight as it comes?
Well, see, I don't know if I would say I don't know anything about him. You know, like I said, I watched some of his videos and stuff. I just don't. I spent some time before earlier in my career where I would study film of guys like just too much, I think, and it would psych me out sometimes. I would start really focusing in on stuff that they were doing, and I change every fight. I progress every fight between fights, and then other fighters do too. And you get caught up, I feel like, thinking about one thing too much. So, I mean, I have a game plan, but it's not like a 100% stick to a game plan. I have some things that you need to look out for. You need to watch for this. You need to, you know what I mean, avoid that. But I think you do yourself a disservice by only having one game plan, because things can change at the drop of a hat. And if you don't have a plan B, or if you can't just go with the flow, you're liable to get caught and be put in a bad spot.
I think it's like with I'm a firefighter, and you know, they always talk about having tunnel vision when you're going into a fire. That's not good. You know, I can agree with you totally. To me, if you just have one game plan and that does not work out for you, what do you do?
Yeah. Like I said, I've had a fight where I fought that way before, where I was like, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to get my hands on him, I'm going to take him down, and that's going to be that. Well, I got my hands on him, I got him down, but then he got back up, and I kind of hesitated for the next little bit, you know, and he caught me with a big punch, and then, you know, it changed the whole fight. So like, you know, you live and you learn from some stuff. So I still watch and I still learn. I still educate myself on what they kind of like to do, or tendencies they may have, you know, just things to look out for. But I train everything. I train to be better, a wrestler, a better jiu-jitsu guy, a better boxer, a better kickboxer. I do tons of strength. Well, not necessarily so much strength, but tons of conditioning. And I think I'm in the best shape of my life, and my skills are the greatest they've ever been. I just hated the way it went down against Marvin up there in Myrtle Beach, because I really am riding a wave of confidence that I haven't had in a long time.
Well, that's great. And, you know, we got the speed round coming up. I want to ask you a couple of questions. What organization would you like to fight for? I know Top Alliance Combat's on the top of the list amongst many, but what premier organization would you want to work for besides maybe the UFC?
Obviously, you know, you can say UFC, that's the great package answer, man, but I'd like to be on any of the bigger organizations. I'd love to fight for, say, Cage Warriors, that's in Europe, or ONE FC over in Asia. You know, I'd like to travel and be able to be a part of it like that if I can't get the UFC contract or the Bellator contract, because, you know, those are the big, or World Series. Those are the three big ones in the U.S. right now, I think. But I'd love to be able to travel if that was an option that was available. So like ONE FC, because they do a version of Pride Rules, I think, don't they?
Yeah. I mean, I don't have the rules down to a T, but I know they're different. I don't know about the soccer kicks. I don't know if they could do them in ONE FC.
I think that would be awesome.
Yeah, that would hurt us like hell, though. Get your freaking...
I mean, it all hurts like hell.
What do you think of female fighters?
I think it's great, man. I think some of these women are tougher than a lot of the guys I know, and they put in the work as much as we do for the most part. Obviously, some of them can get in places that some of us can't because of the sex factor or whatever. But I don't care about that. They're athletes. They train hard. They deserve it.
I know your fight is very important coming up, but what would be your dream fight?
Dream fight, I guess. Just anyone on the bigger shows, or honestly, man, I'd like to fight Marvin again somewhere down the road. I want to package together a couple wins and see if maybe we can hook it together in a bigger show somewhere.
Where do you see yourself at the end of 2014?
2014, I hope to be at least on a 3-fight winning streak and trying to get that bigger show. I'm going to be being a great dad by the end of this year. I know that for sure.
Okay, we're going to wrap things up with you, Mr. Eakin. You got any sponsors, any affiliates you want to make mention of before I let you go?
ChampionSups.com, El Sombrero here in Macon, Rush MMA, Team Reality, MMA Mayhem Radio, and just all my friends and family. I just want to thank everybody that stuck it out with me this long. We're going to make it.
You're going to want to follow Steven at Steven Eakin. That's STEPHEN. EAKIN Jr. And you're going to want to check out Top Alliance Combat at TACMMA.com. Mr. Eakin, it was a pleasure talking to you today, sir. Found out a lot of good information about how you came up in the sport of MMA. Keep on keeping on and bring it April 12th, because McDonough, Georgia is going to bring down the house.
That's right. That's right. It's going to be the best fight you've ever seen.